I recently hit 1000 hours in Elden Ring and I learned a lot about the game in this time. In all Souls games together, I have around 8000 hours of experience, with my favorite game being Dark Souls 2. Here are 5 tips that helped me defeat Elden Ring and keep cool, at least most of the time. Let's get right into the first tip. Plan your builds before starting. Whenever you start a character in a Souls game, you should at least have a direction for which build you are going for. Will you play with big or small weapons? Will you use magic or incantations? Those are questions you should ask yourself. It is extremely rewarding to work towards a strong and focused build. Especially in Elden Ring, it's important to know what you're going for, since you can play a full mage with 80 intelligence and still use more than just your spells to deal a lot of damage. The Ash of War system makes it possible. And don't forget about all the consumables that the game throws at you. You can use perfumes to buff yourself, throwing pots to deal moderate damage to your enemies, and you can also use throwing knives to finish off enemies that just barely survived. Try to keep all of this in mind when you're planning your build. Let's move on to the second tip. Never underestimate your enemy. No matter how easy a situation might look like, always try to think of the worst that could happen in the moment. Lately, I uploaded a perfect example for that. You can watch that clip in the top right corner. Every situation in a Souls game can be solved with minimal damage taken. That should always be your target. Don't get hit. Of course, it's not the end of the world when you get hit. But some of the legacy dungeons are made to drain your heals to a minimum, so the boss becomes harder. By planning out situations in your head before you engage, you can save many heals. Also, expect ambushes everywhere. Elden Ring especially has way too many obvious ambushes, so try to expect them everywhere. This video was for some reason way harder for me to create than all the videos that I did before. It's probably because it's hard to generally give tips for a Souls game, and that's what I struggled with. If you guys want me to live stream Elden Ring in the near future, leave me some comments. Then I will be able to answer your questions in real time. But let's move on. The third tip. Don't fight bosses which are too strong for your current level. Especially Margit is a boss that often is fought way too early, because you will be led there by the Site of Grace. I recommend instead cleaning Limgrave and the Sweeping Peninsula first. But there are more than just a few bosses that will indicate to you that you should not fight them right now. So to avoid frustration, I recommend always thinking about the other bosses that might be around. Just go on an expedition. Elden Ring has so many beautiful places for you to explore, so don't focus on the bosses that frustrate you. Instead, look for another adventure and opportunities to level up. Tip number 4. Force bosses to fight like you want them to. The boss AI always has certain stages. When you are close to a boss, he will try to always fight you as aggressively as possible. But if you run away from a boss, he will try to catch up to you and often use long-range attacks if he has some. But you can abuse this mechanic so the boss will behave in a certain manner. A perfect example for that is Astel. Astel is a boss that a lot of people don't like, because he has those annoying rings of gravity magic when you're close to him. But if you're staying away from him, he will actually try to do a catch-up attack, which will render him defenseless for around 3 to 4 seconds. If you repeat this over and over, the boss becomes really easy. And there are many bosses in Elden Ring where you can manipulate the AI. But other bosses are really good at catching you, and you should not do that with them. Instead, do what I'm about to show you in tip number 5. But overall, bosses will become way easier if you just try to manipulate their AI in a way that it benefits your playstyle. I will talk about some AI manipulation in the future videos. Tip number 5. Learn bosses before you become frustrated. If you can't beat a boss on your first or second try and you can't really see what attack comes next and how you should go about it, then I recommend going inside the boss room without expecting to beat the boss, and don't attack the boss for now. Just dodge all of its attacks. After a while, when you know the attack pattern of the boss, you can start attacking the boss, but be aware of possible follow-ups, which the boss only does when you attack it. When you do this with every boss you struggle with, you will become a way better Elden Ring player in a relatively short time. You can of course also just fight the bosses you struggle with more often and try to get better that way, but it's more frustrating. Let me show you a good example for what I was talking about. The bell-bearing hunter is a strong foe, but if you learn what he's doing, you can pretty much kill him with any weapon. For the strategy to work, you will have to stay very close to the bell-bearing hunter at all times. The bell-bearing hunter can only do 4 different things as long as you stay close to him. He will do a grab, which you can dodge easily. Just wait until his hand starts to go towards you. Then he can also do a 3-hit combo, which has some different variations to it. Sometimes he follows up a 2-hit combo with a very delayed glowing sword attack. To get the dodge timing right, just wait a second before you dodge. He also has a shield slam attack, which you can punish with up to 3 strikes when you're using a small weapon, but watch out for the possible follow-up the slam has. Finally, there is a triple slice attack. The timing for this attack is weird, so be prepared to dodge when you see the bell-bearing hunter point his sword at you and the glow appears. Let me show you a full fight against the bell-bearing hunter to finish the video. If the video could help you, I would appreciate a like and some comments with what you would like to see next. Have a nice day, and I'll see you next time.